And so I'll say a little bit about them. So the four personas that showed up is one, legacy civil rights. So this group is about a quarter of Ohioans, and these folks tend to have higher resources. They identify as strong Democrats. They lean more progressive than moderate. But, you know, these folks are the folks you think about, like your grandmothers, your folks who go to church, and they're like, it doesn't matter what the barrier is, what the issue is, they're going to go out and vote, and they're going to make sure that their voices are heard.
The people who are tisking at us all, like,
yes.
when we say this is a really boring election year, I think I'm going to skip. Those are the legacy voters, or the folks that are tisking at us and saying, hey, listen, we fought hard for these rights to have a voice. You get out there and you do it. Okay, so who's
like literally one of the participants said, my ancestors sacrificed so too much for me not to vote. So that is their whole energy. So that's like, you know, when we think about the Black voter, honestly, we think about that voter primarily in the political industry as the voter we're trying to get. But that's only one part of the electorate. The second one I want to talk about, I'm very excited about this one, is the next gen optimist. So this one mirrors a lot of the sort of personality traits of the legacy civil rights. But some of the main differences is that they identify, they see themselves as being Black as more important than any other identity. Like they care about their Blackness as like the primary driving sense of who they are. These folks tend to be younger voters, college students. Now they don't identify as strong Democrats, but they do have progressive values on issues that matter. And they also have a very strong sense of their connection to God and to faith. And so seeing that that in that cluster has been really important. But the one thing that's really, really, really interesting is that this cluster of younger voters, they actually really care a lot about the election. They care about voting. And then they actually believe that they're voting in every election. And then when we talked to them in focus groups, it was like, did you know there was a primary or August special election? They said no. And they was like, oh my God, nobody explained this to me. If I would have known there was an election, I would have voted. And so these folks really want the information because they really care about the issues in their communities and they want to participate. One of their biggest issues is like ending racial violence. That's the kind of things that they want to see happen in our community. And then I want to talk about the third one and then the last one. The third one is my favorite group. I'm like obsessed with this particular crew because I think that if we can engage this crew, we change American politics. So this third cluster is the rightfully cynical persona. So these folks are more working class voters. They're also younger. They're like, between that sort of 25 to 40 age. They're actually the most registered voters in Ohio. Like most of these people are registered to vote. However, they're not participating, but they're not participating for a very specific reason. They don't trust Democrats. They don't trust Republicans. They feel like there's no politician that's showing up for their community. There was this quote where they said, my hood didn't get any better under Obama. It didn't get any worse under Trump. So what the president got to do with me? And so that is the sort of energy they're bringing, is that American politics is not delivering anything substantial for them. And their top issue is economic security. And so, this is actually the second largest group of Black voters in Ohio. And if we have a whole crew of those folks there that feel like no one is there for them, then they're actually not mobilization targets, they're persuasion targets, because you have to persuade them to swing from not participating to participating because they believe that their non-participation is their political action.
Wait, now hold on for a second before you get to the fourth group, because you use two terms. I want to make sure that I understand them. One is mobilization target and one is persuasion targets. So you're saying that for mobilization targets, they want to vote, you're just helping them get out there? Or can you
Yes.
in the clearest terms possible help me understand the difference between those two targets?
Yeah. So in traditional campaigning in politics, you hear a lot about mobilization and persuasion. So most of the times when a campaign is engaging Black people, they say, oh, we just need to mobilize them. We just need to make sure that they know there's an election, get them information about the election, then they will show up and they will vote at, the way that they're going to vote. And that means, and honestly, mobilization is probably the least amount of money that's spent in a campaign, because it's like, oh, they're going to do what we want them to do. We just got to get them to the polls. And so, and then on the flip side is persuasion. Persuasion is all about understanding that a voter is at a place that's not where you want them to be. So they're having conversations, hard conversations, kitchen table conversations about issues to move them to where you want them to be, and for them to make a decision to come and vote in your favor. And so most of American politics is about persuasion. It's about the white working class voter or the suburban woman. They're trying to go get this voter that they want to persuade to show up. So the reason why this is important between mobilization and persuasion is that because most of our politics see Black voters as a monolith, they miss this persona. They're rightfully cynical, but they are not mobilization targets. These are persuasion targets. They are making a conscious choice not to engage. They need someone to come talk to them and show that there's a reason to show up and to be in this election, not to tell them where to vote, how to vote. They want to know that who's on the ballot and the issues actually matter enough for them to show up.